pop in. She
Okay.
forgot she had something else to do, or something that was gonna go long or whatever it was.
Mhm.
All right, folks, for those of you who are listening on the podcast, we are getting ready to go live on YouTube. And I'm just gonna go ahead and share the link. I'm a little backed up with trying to get these links out. Oh, that's right. All the hashtags and the at signs just gets a little confusing at times.
Mhm.
Right. There's the link. And Suds News. All right. All right. And the post is there. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Suds and the Squared Circle presents Suds News. My name is Vinny. This is Angela sitting in for Christy. Christy may join us a little bit later on. She did have something else that she's going to that she's doing or has done or whatever the case may be. But either way, we are here and we are live and we are going to be talking all about last week's episode of General Hospital that took place. And I do have a big announcement. I'll tease that now. That'll come up at the 10:30 mark. That is in reference to or regarding a future episode of Squared Circle News that'll be coming up. I do want to thank everybody for joining in this past Wednesday for the Squared Circle News episode that Angela's partner Tony was on with me. We talked a lot of good stuff about wrestling. We did touch on the WWE draft, but you know what? Overall, it was a great conversation regarding the WWE and wrestling in general. Um, and it seems like we both have similar viewpoints in wrestling, so it's really cool. And we'll be connecting again at some point soon for another episode. And she will be a presenter for the Sudsy Awards coming up later on this year, which this coming Sunday, the 19th of May, is going to be the official release of the nomination form. So we do have our gremlins and our think tank going to work about getting the nominations, the nominees specifically there, and getting those nominee forms out. So that'll be going out this coming Sunday, the 19th, and then you'll have roughly about 6 weeks to go vote. And then the Sudsy Awards will be released on July 21st. The actual voting will end 2 weeks prior to that. Give us all the time to record our segments and me editing it together. So, with that said, I do want to thank you all for tuning in over the past couple weeks. We've been doing great numbers with Suds News, Dockside of the Bay, and the Squared Circle News episode. The podcast of the Squared Circle News will go up tomorrow. I've been a little busy right now that I haven't been able to put that up yet. Also, last Thursday I did something that I haven't done before. I actually went out disc golfing. I've never played it before, but I do have a video, so I'm going to release that on a YouTube only. Um, and I went with a coworker of mine, happened to be his birthday, but he did give some tips about disc golf, and that might be another possible show in the works. Um, there actually is Major League Disc Golf, which I didn't know about until this year. Um, but it was fun. We are also an official affiliate of WWE Shop, which is the Fanatics Experience. And go to sudsandsquarecircle.com/wrestling merch. That does have our affiliate link in there, and it does give us a commission with anything you buy from that link. All right. Um, Angela, how are you doing today? Give us some update on how you've been. It's been a few weeks since you've been here, and how's everything going?
Good, good. I'm turning 50 tomorrow, so
Well,
that's a big
happy
one.
birthday.
Thank you. And Mother Day was great with the kids, and I am still loving what I'm seeing on GH. I just am.
That is great because I am too. Every time, every show, you know, not every episode is going to be, one of those fast-paced, bam, bam, bam move shows. But overall, the
Mhm.
pacing of the show, sometimes you need to have that episode of just what I say, a storyline purpose episode of just advancing the story.
Absolutely. And building relationships.
Yes,
It can seem like mundane things, but this is how we become invested in these relationships, in these characters, by seeing them have the non-important conversations,
yes,
just casual conversations that people have in the course of being a family, of working together, of being friends, of being in a relationship. And, soaps, they have so much time to work with,
yes,
5 hours a week, every week. You know what I mean? It's insane compared to everything else. They have time to build these relationships.
they do.
And it's important that they do. And that was one of the problems with the old writing regime
Hmm.
is that they really missed a lot of those building relationships. And I know that, a little while ago we had the, episode with like every child in it. And it was like, wow, these are a lot of kids. But it was that was one of those episodes about building those relationships
Yes.
between the kids with their families, and it's important to show that stuff so we care when something big happens to these
Yeah.
people.
And not to mention we've known the actual kid characters on the show, but you
Mhm.
have to bring them out every so often to keep them fresh in the mind. And they can't just be props. You can't just have Wiley there because of Michael and Willow, and he's just there. You
Right.
know, you had to show start the little bit where Wiley's like, oh, maybe Daddy's upstairs, and Violet said that, and whatever, and then you see the knowing glance between Georgie and Aiden, right? Yeah, Georgie and
Yeah.
Aiden. And thank God for Cody, coming in there and to say, and
Absolutely
come on.
not. Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like
Well,
that's where you start the foundation of the new characters.
exactly. And where you're invested in these families,
Right.
and I've been loving that. I've absolutely been loving that because I have been screaming from the rooftops that it's something that has been missing for few years now under the old
Yes.
regime. And I am so glad that we're back to it.
I am too.
Now, as I'm sure a lot of people heard, um, the cast just got the scripts that are 100% Elizabeth and Patrick's stories. It's all
Okay.
been their writing. They've
Right.
been
But the story,
spearheading it,
yeah.
but like the wedding and Gregory's death and everything, that was all left over from Chris and Dan.
Okay. Yep.
So Teichman was too, but they folded it into the Jason story. So that's kind of, but it's all like 100, what they're filming now is 100% the new writers, which is great.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I've already been loving a lot of the stuff the news writers are doing.
Do you think
I
it's
see where they're going with
yes.
things.
Yep. Do you think it's a lack of patience with a lot of the people that are the vocal minority on social media?
Yes,
You know,
absolutely. I think that they got out of, especially if they just watch General Hospital and they don't watch the other soaps, they got out of traditional soap viewing
yeah,
because the twins didn't do these things. Like Chris and Dan, they're not actually twins, but that's what I call them. Because they didn't do these things.
yep,
And, they got out of habit of watching these sorts of things. Um, the Elizabeth and Patrick have been doing a very old school
approach, yeah,
approach, which is what they were brought in to do.
yeah,
That's the thing. They were brought in to write what was going wrong with the writing, and that's what was going wrong with the writing. And like, I think that in a few months, things going to look completely different, and people are going to be like, "Oh my God, where did this come from?" And some of us will be going, "Well, it came from this, and this that they were laying across all this time."
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
I mean, they're laying the and the best part is they're laying the foundation right now for what they're going to be done. Because as you stated, they've had the outline, so to speak, the actual arcs, the story arcs from the previous writing team. So they're just kind of filling it in to try to get, whatever they can to put the pieces into play where they
right?
want them for their stories going forward.
Mhm.
And it's like it's going to be a change. The
Right.
biggest, I think the biggest thing that I see online, and we've talked about it, and JLJ actually put out a GH Dirty Deeds about Sonny. The
Mhm.
fact that, he's being portrayed as a villain. He's being portrayed as somebody who's losing the support of the people around him, whether it's Anna, whether it's Laura, whether it's or anybody else. He's isolated. And yes, we know about the medication. We know about the bipolar meds. We know that it's,
Right.
like 10% or whatever it was,
Mhm.
and this week here, this past week, we even saw him almost distance himself from Ava. And
Yeah.
Ava was the one person that was his, rock.
Right. Right.
So for the viewing public, or the vocal minority, as I like to call them, to say,
Mhm.
oh, well, why are Laura and Anna turning their back on Sonny? Well, it's because theoretically he's a villain. You know,
And they never should have been on his side,
no,
especially Anna. But, certainly when she became the mayor, Laura should have taken a step back. You know what I mean? It's one of those
yeah,
course corrections that they're doing,
right.
when they're setting it to rights, kind of thing.
It's the same thing with Laura and Cyrus. And
Hmm.
the one thing that I'm apprehensive about is Laura and Heather. Laura kind of going to bat for Heather and saying, why, can we get her, stuff reopened because of the cobalt poisoning. It's
But it's Laura.
right.
Laura
Laura
has
has a
always
hard role.
been, well, yes, and she's always been a big believer in redemption.
Mhm.
She has always forgiven people who have hurt her family.
Yeah. I mean,
I
she
mean, it's
married her
it's
rapist.
always right, exactly. And that's where it started.
Yeah.
And and Scotty and um Liz and Esme, and I mean, she ditched Nick as an infant because she didn't tell Luke, because she didn't want Luke getting hurt trying to go back and getting him.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Laura. Stefan, she's this is who she is. But here's the thing. I don't think they're actually doing a full redemption for Heather.
No, I think Heather's playing
I
Laura.
She's playing Laura. I
Yep.
think that she's going to get out. I think she's going to kidnap the kid, and I think it's going to facilitate Jeannie Francis's exit for the summer. And
Mhm.
I think that they're undoing that she's a homicidal maniac. But Heather's going to go back to being in and out of the psych ward, and
Yeah.
it's popping up, causing havoc, and going back from when she came,
Because
which has
correct
been
me
the
if I'm
character
wrong.
since the
Correct.
70s.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't her initial psychosis because of LSD poisoning?
Yes.
So, with the LSD poisoning and then adding in the cobalt poisoning on
Right.
top of it, it's
Right.
almost like she's already had that out, so to speak, that she was hallucinating
Mhm.
because of LSD. So you can't say, okay, well, from this point on, and when was her
Right.
hip replacement? You know what I mean? When was her
Decades
hip
ago.
replacement?
Decades
Was
ago.
that? Oh,
Decades
was
ago.
that okay?
Yeah.
So they did recognize that was a storyline in
Right.
time. Okay. Um,
And
so
it's totally possible. It's actually a real thing,
yeah,
and
of course.
whatever. It is what it is. This is a soap. Franco was redeemed with a tumor.
Yep.
This is what happens. I mean, it's a soap opera. This is what happens. And, but they don't have Laura acting out of character for
No.
Laura. This has been the character since she forgave Luke for raping her and
Mm.
married him and had children. You know what I mean? This has been this character for since the 80s.
Yeah.
And it's just how it is. That's the facts. But I don't think they're doing a full redemption of Heather.
Yeah.
And
I don't.
Laura looking like a fool for forgiving somebody for hurting their family isn't anything new either.
Right. So you could see Laura being apprehensive about Heather and wanting to give Heather the benefit of the doubt, the same way she's being apprehensive with Cyrus and wanting to give Cyrus the benefit of the doubt. So it is within her character. Now,
Mhm.
with Cyrus, I do feel that that's a full redemption story for him. I do feel that it's a full redemption story. Uh,
Yeah.
because I think that the problem with the Cyrus character was the multiple different writing teams that have been writing for the arc from last summer when they started this whole thing that he was now the man of God, he was the pastor, he was redeemed in prison, but then we saw that he was the leader of, as Matt and Kat call him, the Gatlin gang. So we thought, okay, well, he's playing everybody. He just got out of
Mhm.
prison. He put out the bullshit that he was, no longer a threat to society and yada yada yada. But then he gets beat up by Sonny because he said he taunted Sonny about about Nina calling the SEC, you know, and now it seems to me like so we had the Fight Core writers in there, and then we had Chris and Dan back, and now we've got Elizabeth and Patrick. So that character has gone through numerous twists and turns,
Mhm.
trying to maintain the pastor character, the man of God character, but yet seeing the shadiness from one writing team
Right.
and seeing the mind games from the other writing team, and now we're seeing almost like, okay, you know went with Anna to give the corroborating story about,
Right.
put in his statement.
And he was honest with Laura that he
Yes.
taunted Sonny. And I liked how Elizabeth and Patrick got rid of the whole stupid radio show thing. It was
Yeah.
canceled because nobody wanted to hear. That was great. I thought that was a little fun, little easily dispense of it.
Yes.
This is done. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think we'll probably see Cyrus as much, but yeah, he's a good one that can pop up every once in a while and just be, you know, what he
Yeah.
is.
He'll be
You
one of
know.
those recurring characters where it just, he'll come
Hmm.
up, he'll say something that people give a double meaning to, and then
Hmm.
he'll just wait for a couple weeks and whatever. But
Yeah,
he's still down campus.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I
Right.
also don't understand the complaints of people saying that there are only two stories going on.
Yeah, there's multiple stories going
There's
on.
many stories. They're not all the front lead burner stories, but they're not supposed to be. You
Yeah,
know,
because
the
here's the way.
President Nixon's return is like one big story, but there are
Yeah.
tons of tendril stories coming off of it.
Yes.
But even if you say that, that's one story. And then we have the wedding and Gregory, which again, those are two separate stories, but they're converging.
Yes.
And there are other stories coming after. But then Deception is a story. It's just not a massive story. Heather's
Right.
Redemption is a story, but it's just not a massive. These are all little the surrogacy story. Drew and Nina and Willow. Those are all
Yeah.
other stories.
So Eric Bischoff, being who he is in television and wrestling and everything, he basically said that as a wrestling booker, you want to have some kind of a notebook or some kind of binder where you
Mhm.
have basically four different stories: your A story, B story, C story, D story,
Right.
and you work through them. You may give, let's say, 60% of your time during the week to your A story, and then
Hmm.
it trickles down from there. But by the time, let's say, the next round of sweeps comes up, that B story has become the A story because
Right.
the A story was blown off, the B
Hmm.
story came up, and so on and so forth. And
Right.
meanwhile, that B story pulled up, and we haven't really been seeing that with the previous writing team.
Right.
Now we are. Now you're seeing,
Right.
because Elizabeth, what's her, somebody said, oh, well, what is Elizabeth's story? Well, Elizabeth is a single mother working at the hospital. The fact that she's dealing with the different personalities of her kids, the only one we're seeing on cameras right now is Aiden.
Right.
Jake has kind of, again, backed off a little bit. Um,
Right.
Cam is in college. So realistically, you're not going to see her as much. But the fact that Jake is Jason's son, we did have a
Mhm.
short little, the fact that,
Have more. The thing, they're balancing a lot of things right now. Like they have a lot to do with Jason's return, and they can't do it all at once.
right.
So they've made it that Jason is not actively seeking all of them out right now because he's in this position. He doesn't know if he's going to be able to stay. He's being used as bait. He doesn't want anybody in danger. So he's kind of pulled back from everybody, and except for the people who come at him.
Yeah.
And because he's trying to keep everybody safe. Now, they will get through that.
Yes.
And then the next part of this will be Jason rebuilding, trying to rebuild that, but he had told Sam that he couldn't promise that he wasn't going to leave again.
Yeah.
So he's not going to, pursue this relationship with Jake right now, knowing that he might just do the same thing that has the kids so upset.
Right.
So it would be worse to give that kid false hope is
Right.
as far as like how it seems Jason is thinking about it. So
Right.
they've played Danny into this because Danny's pursuing him.
Yes.
But then there's going to be a fallout from that will have repercussions later.
Yes.
Everything is going to, like back in the day, I remember they used to like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday were like the A and B stories. And then
Yeah.
Tuesday and Thursday were the C and D ones. But it did rotate. The smaller stories became bigger
Yeah.
stories. So other things got folded in. And I think we're going back kind of to that sort of thing. But it takes a while to right the ship.
Yeah.
You know, it, hair is not on fire behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Despite people, oh, the ratings, oh, this, oh, that. One, none of you know what you're talking about. Not you. I mean, the
Right.
general you. With
Yeah.
what really, you don't know what you're looking at when you're looking at the ratings. We did a spaces on it. I'll gladly answer anybody's questions, but hair is not on fire behind the scenes at Prospect.
No,
It's just not.
ABC is actually very happy with the ratings for General Hospital. If you take into account all of every way to watch, GH, because you're looking at, if you're looking specifically at what comes out in, I think it's Soap Opera Digest, but I can't be sure.
The Nielsen Soap Opera
The Nielsen
Network.
Soap Opera
Yeah,
Network, yeah.
Soap Opera Network
If
puts
you're
them out.
if and this is one of the things that I have had a problem with trying to look at the ratings, is that they only do certain demographics.
Mhm.
They don't do, or they do the combined Monday to Friday ratings of just what's on the Nielsen boxes.
They mainly do those certain demographics because those are the desired ones for
The
daytime.
advertisers, right?
The women's 18 to 49 and
Yeah.
25 to 54. That's what they're looking at. But the thing is that I know that they put General Hospital, they put Young and the Restless number one, Bold and the Beautiful number two, General Hospital number three. That's not how they're looked at.
No.
They're looked at their time slot
Yep.
and their daytime lineup. And in
Yes.
both of those things, General Hospital is winning. They win their time slot. They beat the top. They beat the NBC News that they go up against.
Yep.
In the almost every major market, the soaps do not compete
Right.
in the same time slot.
And
And
you
the
know,
vast majority of the minor ones too.
right. And the only real competition per se between soaps could potentially be next year when the Gates premieres because they're going into the talk
They
slot.
haven't said what slot they're going into, though.
Well, they
They
did
haven't
cancel
said
the
that
talk,
they're
so
going
that's
into the
we're
talk.
running
They're
into.
canceling the talk, but
Right.
they haven't said if they're going to shift things. We don't know
Yeah.
yet. You
Right.
know what I mean? They might want to put them in between the two to
Yeah.
try to, or, we don't know yet. They could put it in the talk slot, but they might not. They might
Right.
try to, you know, finagle other things on their lineup. We don't know.
Right.
But even then, I mean, I'm looking forward to the Gates.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a good long while before it's any competition to General Hospital because it's a
Of
new
course.
soap opera. It's a new
And you
soap
know,
opera. And
yeah,
online people think they're a much bigger segment of the audience than they are.
you're right. No, you're absolutely right. And people will talk to the blue in the face that, nobody knows who's, the numbers based on social media, or whatever. You know what? We don't work for the network. The networks have their metrics, the networks have their analysts. They know what's going on, they know what the numbers are. And and ABC is very happy with the numbers that General Hospital is pulling in.
It's it is a business.
Yeah,
If it was not making money, it would not be on the air.
exactly. And you could be upset because they may not have the budget they once had, or
Mhm.
they can't go off off property or whatever, like
Right.
guaranteed with the rehearsal dinner of Brooklyn and Chase being at Coney Island.
They're
They're
not
not
going to
going
Coney
to
Island.
Coney Island like Lois and Ned's wedding,
Right.
so that's out, so they'll
It's a
figure
different
stuff out.
time. But
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at General Hospital, at least they go outside, they do things. Young and the Restless, they're shooting in front of a horrible green screen.
Oh my God, horrible.
Oh my,
I will never
I'm
forget the
like,
the episode with Ashley in Paris,
I was like,
and
really?
horrible.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a soap and I love it, whatever. It's great. But I would much rather see the Prospect Studio parking lot. I really would.
Right.
Or the park across the street where they try to avoid shooting the palm trees because it's supposed to be upstate New York. But I'll
Right.
take that in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
Yes.
What Frank can do with his budget is phenomenal.
Right. Yeah.
He's brilliant. And people can cry for his firing all they want. You know, I don't know what to tell you. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah. And the before I mean, let's kind of move on to the actual shows itself. Um, Another, you know what? Let's kind of shape this show this week as to what people are complaining about, because that'll bring us almost every storyline on canvas right now. We've
Mm-hmm.
talked about the Jason storyline, but we can go into even in more in depth with the Jason storyline. In that, um, Jason came clean to Anna, and he said
Mm-hmm.
exactly what the FBI has on him. And the fact is
Yes.
that he's working with the FBI to protect Carly. We knew this
Right.
already, but now it's confirmed.
And it makes sense for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Back in 2021, I've seen a lot of people talking about, oh, Carly, why is he fixing her mess? He's not. He's fixing his.
Yes.
He blamed himself for her having to go to that meeting in the first place. And like it, don't like it, the canon is somebody had to go to that meeting or Cyrus was going to kill them all after he took the seat.
Right.
Harley, her kids, all of them. Somebody
Yes.
had to be in that meeting defending the seat. Jason's dumbass broke plan, went back in for Britt, and got himself shot. Harley's plan was working perfectly up until then.
Yeah.
And he knows that he is why she had to be at that meeting. And
Yes.
he hated himself for it, and he blamed himself for it, and he was right to. And when he said to Anna the other day, I chose to work for Sonny,
Hmm.
Harley didn't
Hey,
choose
Nathan,
this life.
welcome to the chat.
He wasn't saying Carly didn't choose to have the mob in her life. He was saying Carly didn't choose to work in the mob.
Right.
And he's correct.
Yeah.
People took it, he very flat out said, I chose to work for Sonny.
Yeah.
Charlie was there because Sonny and I have pulled her into this in that capacity.
Yep.
And again, he's right.
Yeah.
And she had no choice. So of course, and Jason, we have called Jason Captain Save-A-Ho for decades. And Burton is right. Jason would do this for anybody he cared about.
Yeah.
Jason would do it for people he didn't care about. Jason saves people. It's what he does.
Right. Yeah.
But in this case, he knows that she is facing those charges because of his actions. And he
Correct.
can't live with that. He's not going to let that happen. And that's Jason. And
Right. No, you're exactly right. And that's what it boils down to, is that, when you explain it and you actually put the pieces together, that's where it makes sense. And
Mhm.
and it's like it's the same way you know, with Jason, or should I say Carly, accepting the Metro Court back from Jason, in that Jason made it clear that if he was here, none of this would have happened if
And
he
he's
was
not
alive.
wrong.
Right. Yeah.
And everything she said to Sonny was true as well. When he was all upset that she took it from Jason, but not from him. And she's like, Jason, you were trying to assuage your guilt and get brownie points. And
Right.
she's right. He was. Jason was writing what he thought was wrong. And Jason didn't say, hey, do you want me to get the MetroCorp back for you?
You're
Jason
right.
said, I got the MetroCorp back for you. Sign the paper. It's
Mhm.
yours. It's done.
Right.
It's a different thing.
It is. And you know what? It's been great seeing Carly back in that role as, Metro Court owner. Her and Olivia back as partners, and and the thing that it spurned was this this whole dynamic of Nina and Drew. And
Which is
it
fabulous.
is, it's great, because things
So
like this, no matter how much a soap opera is an escape, it does portray things that happen in real life. And you know what? This is soapy goodness.
such soapy goodness. I am loving Nina again.
Yeah,
I used to
yeah,
love Nina right up until they came back from Nixon Falls, and all of a sudden she became a damsel in distress anytime a man is in the room. She
yes.
is back to her bitchy self, and I love it.
Right.
Love it.
She
I
is a
love a bitch
natural
as long
heel.
as they own it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that doesn't
And
mean they have to be one all the time, but
right.
own, and she is.
Yeah.
And her and Drew, they go head to head, and it's equal and it's excite, and they both, it's give and take.
And one
They're
is using the other, and the other, and
mhm,
they're using each other, and
and
it's working.
they both know,
Yeah.
and they're funny, and they have great chemistry.
Yeah.
And then the whole Willow of it all is so, oh my God, I love it.
And I am liking Drew better now as this character, because when he came out of prison and he started going off the deep end and saying, now it's all about me, and I've gone to prison for Carly, and but I've never actually done anything for me, and this and yada yada yada. He started getting sloppy, and I think that was the biggest problem, was that we saw him doing stuff out of spite, and we saw him doing stuff that was, whether or not you're going to say against his character or not. But I think paired with the Nina character, I think this Drew works, because now it's almost like, okay, well, Carly's going to screw me over because of my brother. Yeah, he's the one that broke up with her.
I know.
And, it's, and they're both manipulating each other. Nina's like, oh, well, Are you going to let Jason get away with this, or going to let Carly get away with this, or whatever? And Drew's
Right.
like, oh, well, you know, and, uh, it's phenomenal because,
Oh God, yes.
especially with the whole thing with the senator, like
Mm-hmm.
those scenes were fantastic last week
Mm-hmm.
because I love how the senator said, "Oh, I have a meeting with Miss Reeves. Who are you?" And
Right.
she introduced him, and he's just in there, and he's pitching his
Wheeling
idea,
and dealing and yeah,
and then the
in
guy
all
says,
his
oh,
Quartermain glory. Grandpa
"Yes,
Edward would be so proud.
yes," and that's what it is that
Mhm.
he's got his Quartermain stuff in him to the
Yep.
point where Jason never was a Quartermain. I mean, he was, but he's more, his Jason Morgan character is more of who Jason is, not the
Right.
Quartermain side. So now,
Right.
now Drew could kind of step out of his shadow.
Drew is giving me Sean Kanan's AJ.
Yes.
He
I
is.
think, but I
And
think
I
even to
love
a
that's
higher
my
volume,
favorite AJ.
and I
Yeah.
think even to a higher volume, because
Hmm.
while Sean Kanan's AJ was, he still had his demons, right? Drew
Hmm.
doesn't have the demons that AJ had.
No, not the same ones. No.
So it does come from while he may have his reasons for being,
Hmm.
intense, he's
Yes.
smarter
No,
about
I'm
it.
saying as far as like the businessman AJ
Oh,
was
yes,
and
you're
the
right.
politician stuff like AJ was great with that stuff
He
too.
was.
And I
Yeah,
see that in Drew.
absolutely.
That I'm seeing and I love it. Love it.
For those of you that are watching, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe, get notified. And for those of you listening on the podcast, if you give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And it's actually after 10:30, but we had
Sorry,
such a
I
great
distracted
conversation.
you.
I didn't even get a chance to give the big announcement. I'm going to go ahead and give that big announcement for you right now. In that, on Wednesday, May 29th at 10 p.m. Eastern, another Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Sports Circle News, I will be joined by none other than Flobo Boyce, one of James Lott Jr.'s friends, a big time wrestling fan. He does his own podcast about NXT. He will also be a presenter at the 2024 Suds Media Awards, and he and I are going to be talking all about wrestling, WWE, NXT, and whatever else that's going to be on there.
Wow.
So it's going to be Flobo and I talking wrestling. That's going to be Wednesday, the 29th of May, 2024 at 10 p.m. right here where you're watching this episode. Again, if you want to, tune in, it's going to be Wednesday the 29th, and I'll post it on Twix tomorrow as well. All right. So now that we've gotten that, and the Flobo news is out of the bag, um, let's kind of move on to another part that people are hating, and I'm actually wondering why. Um, Sonny and Natalia, okay, I'm enjoying their camaraderie. I like the character of Natalia. I like that I'm really confused by the fans that are so against Blaze's family being expanded on canvas.
Well, there are always going to be fans who don't want new people come in because they feel like other people aren't getting enough already, which
Okay,
okay,
makes
but
sense.
and I get that, but if they're bringing in new people, they've already decided to not give those other people stuff.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? It's not like they're being forced to bring somebody in. They're doing this story. And I know a lot of people have an issue because of her being against Christina and Blaze, but that's the story. That's where the
That's the
conflict
story.
is.
Yeah.
She's not right. She's not, but you need people who aren't right. This
Well,
isn't Hallmark.
right. And you need people who are giving the contrarian view.
Yes.
As we saw ahead of Natalia coming in, was that Blaze told Christina, my mother is a very staunch Catholic person. So they have strict religious views. That's everyday life. You're going to have
Right.
people who are against the LGBTQ movement.
Right.
Not everybody is
Mhm.
accepting of it. I have to
And
say,
a lot of it is also her stage mom thing.
right.
She thinks it would hurt her daughter's
Yes,
career, and she
that's
is invested in her daughter's career.
what I don't, what I don't, and here's the biggest thing is that it gives by having Natalie come in and be this character that's against Blaze and Christina as a couple, it gives you something to root for that couple. It
Exactly.
gives, you know, being that, and here's where I have to question. No, I shouldn't say. I'm not going to say I question the writers on it, but I have to question the overall arc of it. If you're writing somebody who's, the stage mom, where you know, Natalia is Blaze's mom, but also her manager for
Yep.
her career. In this current culture, I would think you would want the positive PR that Blaze is so open to being in a same-sex relationship.
Right. But that's where her momager part conflicts with her Catholic. But
Personal,
that's
yeah,
one of the reasons that her and Sonny are so interesting because
yes,
he's also Catholic, but
yep,
he's a mobster.
yes,
So she doesn't know this, the ins and outs of him yet.
yep,
So, and he's Christina's father.
yes,
So she's getting to know this guy and she really likes him. She thinks he's a great guy and she thinks he's a great father and all this. And, the more and more she likes him. And eventually she's going to find out
yeah,
the bad part. And then it's going to be a eye-opening moment for her about the duality of people and and it can help with.
right. I'm really, I, no matter how much Nancy Lee Grimes as a person rubs me the wrong way, the, the, the scenes between Natalia and Alexis
Mhm,
were fantastic
mhm.
because for all intents and purposes, Alexis's character is Nancy Lee Grahn, just toned down a little bit. Um,
Mhm.
so for a staunch Catholic to be talking to a complete progressive liberal
Mhm.
about their daughter's, relationship, it was a
Yeah.
conversation that had to happen,
Yeah.
and it was a conversation that didn't it didn't deteriorate to name calling. It didn't deteriorate to whatever. They just kind of agreed to disagree. And I think that was a needed conversation because that's what a lot of people should do more
Mhm.
of rather than,
Yes.
um, without getting political on this show. Um, I will say that um, I like the dynamic that Blaze and Christina have. I love that relationship. I wish that it showed, like, I was really upset that finding out that the Corinthos Davis, home was already open. Like, they could have done so much more in terms of they could have had Terry come in. I mean, Terry's part of that whole lifestyle,
Right.
that community. They could have done so much more with that as a grand opening, and that could have been something.
Right.
you know, Maybe they didn't have the budget. Maybe they didn't have there's a number of reasons why they did it off screen,
Right.
but it
Like
would
a
have
whole new
been nice.
set, and then there'd be new extras and characters. It would be a big undertaking
Yeah,
financially for the show.
makes sense.
Um,
Yeah,
and I don't know that we'll never see it because I had, Christina say she was taking a step back from it for
right.
right now, but we'll see. I think it's going to be interesting to see because I think we're heading for a custody battle with this baby.
I think so too.
And I
Because they
think it's going to be
a lot of
interesting because I think
they
Alexis is going to have to be, neutral on a lot of things and try to be supporting everybody. Blaze is obviously going to support Christina.
Mhm.
And I could see Natalia taking Molly's side
Yes,
of it.
I could too. Absolutely.
because for purely selfish reasons. The
Yeah.
whole she doesn't want her daughter in the position to be, making a little family with this girl,
Yes.
which can cause conflict with Sonny and Natalia. And
Yep. I think that's exactly where we're going to, and I like that idea.
Mhm,
Um, and we've done the surrogacy thing on especially on General Hospital before, especially with
mhm,
Maxie and Lulu, and that turned
mhm,
into a custody battle as well, for a different reason. The
right.
fact that Maxie lost the baby and tried to make it up, but then
It
we know
was
how
her
that
baby. Yeah.
right exactly. Um, but regardless of that, I like that situation, and I could see Natalia siding with Molly
Mhm,
on that one as well. And you're right, specifically for the semantics of
mhm.
Blaze not being, because when she said to Alexis, like, oh well, they're gonna be, to have them pictures taken, and Blaze is gonna be with a pregnant woman, and they're gonna, the fans are gonna put two and two together, and they're gonna go. First of all, big deal. Number one, it's nobody's business. If TMZ wants to take pictures of, of that, whatever. First of all, whatever. It's your personal life. Trust me, I can't stand the paparazzi idea. I cannot stand it. I just, in my opinion, and I'm not a celebrity. I'm on YouTube, I'm on podcasts,
Right.
but it's like a celebrity has every right to their personal life. Just because they're
Mhm.
in, just because they're in the spotlight or the public, they have a right to privacy as well. But that's a whole nother story.
My thing about it is I'm just like, they're going to be at a wedding. People
Right.
are all over everybody at a wedding. This is like the least innocuous, you know what I mean? This is the easiest, safest place for them to be hanging out because people
Yeah.
just hang out together at a wedding, just randomly hang, you know,
Yes. Exactly.
you don't know who's with who or what's going on. It's just
Right.
people at a wedding.
It would be different if it was the nurses' ball and they were walking the red carpet,
Exactly.
which I still wish they had the nurses' ball coming back, but I guess I don't know when that's I don't know when that's coming back.
Yeah, I don't know if we're getting one this year.
No, I didn't think that we got them this year.
So,
Hopefully they bring it back next year. Because
or
that's
I mean,
that's always fun.
they could do one later. They have done them a little later in the year, and it's possible. I just don't know if we're going to see it this year or not. We'll see.
Yeah.
Just not right
Uh,
now.
especially with the whole deception storyline right now with, you
Mhm.
know, we still don't know when Brooklyn takes over deception from Tracy,
Right.
and then hands it over to Maxie or whatever, however that's going to play out. First of
Hmm.
all, that Lucy's going to flip her shit.
Oh God, yes.
She's going to flip her lid, and that's going to be some great story. Lynn Herring is phenomenal in that role. Um, so maybe she'll resurrect the nurse's ball just so that she has control over something. I could see
Yeah.
that playing out. And then banning deception from being a sponsor of the nurse's ball.
Right. Yeah.
And then Tracy, giving it to Brooklyn or whatever, letting Brooklyn, and then Brooklyn automatically turning around and giving it to Maxie. That's going to be some conflict right there between Brooklyn and Tracy as
Yep.
to, I did this for your future. Well,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, um,
I told you I
but
didn't want you to.
I
Yeah.
will say I'm absolutely looking forward to Lois being the face of deception on Home and Heart.
Hmm.
Interaction with Lois and Haven or Heaven, whatever her name is, that's going to
Haven.
be
Yeah.
Haven, yeah, that's going
Yep.
to be classic.
Oh God, yes. Yeah,
Um,
that's going to be fun.
I am so
And
glad that Ray Sofer decided to stay on longer
mhm,
and keep her recurring status rather than just the 30 original episodes, because she
mhm,
adds so much to it. The dynamic with her and Olivia, the dynamic with her and
yes,
Brooklyn, even her and Ned, which we haven't seen a lot of, but that original
yes,
storyline, you
was
know,
really good. Right.
yeah, it was. And she
And
bring
her and Tracy are great too.
oh yes. Tracy needs some. Tracy can. Jane Elliott has chemistry with just about anybody. She could have a scene with a broomstick, and it would be hilarious. But when she has someone who she could work off of, whether it's trading barbs with Lois or being vulnerable with Stella or
Hmm.
actually being open and honest with Gregory, you know, Tracy
Yeah.
needs that other person to play off of. And to see it's almost like Tracy and Monica, the
Hmm.
Tracy Lois dynamic. And Monica obviously can't be there. So this is the next
Right.
generation.
I wouldn't hate if they found some reason that Tracy had to run Olivia's half of the Metro Court for her for something.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine Tracy
Tracy
and
and
Carly
Carly,
going, yeah,
they're both alpha females.
how amazing
Oh
would
my
that
God.
they would be? I would watch an entire episode of I would watch that as a series daily. The
Oh
two of
yeah,
them.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Would be fantastic.
Yes.
Oh wow. All right.
Yeah.
If
Now
Nathan
you're
and
thinking about
Carly
it,
are
you're like, oh
currently
my God.
watching,
Yeah.
if you guys are watching, if the powers of be are watching or listening to this episode, this needs to happen. Oh my God.
I won't even sue
Because
you for the idea. Just do it.
yeah, I don't even care. You can have the
Yep.
intellectual property. Just
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that would be
It would be
awesome.
phenomenal.
Because they
And
already,
it's her daughter-in-law. There's a million ways they could try to make it happen.
yeah. And Tracy and Carly already don't see eye to eye on a lot of things.
Hmm.
And their personalities are so similar. They're
Hmm.
both like bulls in china shops.
Oh my God, it would be great.
Oh man, that's must see TV.
Hmm.
Wow. Oh
And
wow.
Laura
Yeah.
Wright and Jane Elliott are great together.
Oh yeah, they are. They're fin. Even
So,
I mean,
yeah.
even when you have and here's the thing is that even Laura Wright and Cynthia Watros are phenomenal
Oh
when they're in
my
scenes
God.
together.
Did you see today's yet?
No, I did
Oh,
not see. I'll
it
see
was
that till
so
tomorrow.
good. Yeah, it was really, really good. And it was her, Laura Wright and Finola Hughes first, and then her and Nina had stuff at the end, and it was really good. Carly had a
Oh, I
great
can't wait.
had a great day today. It was phenomenal.
I cannot wait to
Happy
see
Carly
it.
fan. Yeah.
Although this past week, Carly did do something a little controversial, which lands her into hot water with Anna, in that she goes
Yes.
goes to Pentonville to visit Brennan and kind of
Yep.
tips her hand.
Well, what's funny about this is Anna ripped her up one side and down another for it too today. But the thing is that none of them, including Carly, realize that Brennan pretty much already knew.
Right.
Because him and Valentin had talked about it, realized that Jason had to have been planted by one of the, as Brennan put it, three-letter government
Yeah.
agencies.
Right.
Jagger's walking around Port Charles telling everyone who listened that he's an FBI agent.
Yes.
You know what I mean? She didn't tell him, the fact that the FBI were investigating Pikeman and that he was involved with it, that wasn't news to him.
No, not at all.
And, I mean, the fact that it was and really, what are the government agencies that it could be? He knew it wasn't the WSB because he was the
No,
head of the WSB. So
exactly.
FBI or CIA. CIA doesn't do a whole lot usually
Right.
in this. The FBI, that would be the FBI doing that.
Right.
So, you know, she didn't really tell him that much.
No, and that's the thing is like
But nobody knows that because they don't know what he knows.
right.
So of course Carly's getting in trouble for the whole bag, but that's okay.
And
She can.
and that's the way that I think the biggest thing is when Anna and Jason were talking and Jason said if Carly is going to get involved, if she thinks it's going to protect me, and you have to stop that at all costs.
Well, what's funny is that you haven't seen it yet today, but after Anna gave her all that hell, as soon as Anna left, Carly picks up her phone and schedules a ride to go to Pentonville the next day to see Brennan.
Oh man.
And I was just like, oh, Anna, please tell me you know that she's going to do this because it was the most predictable thing ever.
Ever.
And and then the previews for tomorrow have Anna saying, maybe we can use Carly, like something about, maybe they could turn what Carly did into, and Jason just has this oh shit look on his face.
Yeah.
But it's, honestly, at this point, Anna needs to have Carly help her
Yes.
because she's not staying out of it at this point.
No.
You're not unringing that bell, you're not closing that barn door. Anna needs to predict that Carly's doing this, meet her outside of Pentonville, and say, little girl or woman, we need a plan together.
Yes.
We're going to work together. She doesn't have to tell her what
Right.
Jason's big secret,
Yeah.
but Jason's not going to like it because he doesn't want her anywhere near this. But again, too late.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited. This just
Yeah.
gets better and better and better for me.
It really does. The storytelling in general is just fantastic right now.
How great is her chemistry with Charles Messer?
Oh God, yes. Oh yes.
And do you follow him on Twitter?
I do. He
He
and
goes out, he
Adam
goes in and out.
Harrington.
He deactivates because he doesn't want to come back to a shit show. But then he reactivates. He usually deactivates every weekend, but
Oh,
he
okay.
reactivated today.
I
And
didn't
he's just
realize it.
fabulous.
I just like the back and forth that he and Adam Harrington have.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Um, okay. So we've also got all right, so let me ask you this. Are they potentially setting Dante up to take over for Sonny as the mob boss?
I
We
don't
saw that
think
Dante
so.
went in to resign from the police department this week. And he
Right.
had reasons why, but he decided
Right.
to get
Well, Anna talked him out of it by saying, if you do that, you're going to end up in the mob. Because I really don't think Dante wants that.
right.
Um, but I think that at the end of this, Dante could end up out of the PCPD, but I don't think he'll end up in the mob. I could see him and Sam doing a PI thing together,
Yeah.
something like that. I don't think, because again, Patrick doesn't like the mobsters being good guy romantic heroes.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. All right.
He's
And Dante is
very, very
already
against that. And Dante is one of their romantic heroes. I could see them making him not a cop, doing a, gray area like a Robert Scorpio, yada yada, before they, but and I think the same thing's gonna happen with Jason. I don't think Jason's going back to the mob either.
No, I don't think I believe you're right. I think they're gonna
And
keep Jason
yeah,
as one of those in-betweeners where, he's got the shades of gray. Is he good? Is he
doing the
bad?
stuff like the WSB or something like that. Anna gets back to being the WS, Max coming back so he can take over as
Yes.
police chief. Anna could be the new head of the WSB.
Yeah.
And Jason and maybe even Dante, they could work for her. And
And
then
Dante
Dante doesn't
and
have that
Jason were
conflict because the WSB aren't going after the mob.
right. And Dante and Jason work very well together.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it in the past.
Yep.
What and that's the thing that people need to understand is that where in history, whether where would you see Al Capone teaming up with a police captain or a detective teaming up
Yeah.
with somebody from the mob? It's like yes, you have there are going to be times where you have interests where you have similar villains or whatever, like when Jerry Jacks was there
My
or whatever.
enemy.
You're the enemy of
The
my
enemy
enemy
of
is
my
my friend.
enemy is my friend. Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
So it's like so yes, there are times, and
Yep.
when Jerry Jacks held Port Charles hostage and all of the one percenters came together with the money to get
Yeah.
that was so funny. That like
And then Harley teamed up with Jerry
yeah.
because she needed his help getting evidence to get Jason to manufacture evidence to get Jason off on the murder charges for Lorenzo. And Jerry agreed to help her if she would stop being mean to him, stop hating him because she was married to his brother.
Right.
So, yeah. Oh, I've been saying for like a month now that I would accept any scenario they give me, any scenario that Charles Brennan is an alias for Jerry Jacks.
Oh
I would
yes,
I would
absolutely.
accept, they could say literally, I would accept any scenario whatsoever. There would
Yeah.
be nothing that I couldn't suspend disbelief. Nothing.
Yes.
He would be such a great Jerry Jacks.
Oh, absolutely.
We're never getting Sebastian back as much as I would love it. It's never going to happen. He's doing too big of things. But Charles, could you imagine? Oh
Oh
my
yeah.
God.
Oh yeah. Um,
Oh,
that would be fantastic. I mean, they already changed the name once from John to Jack. So
he's actually still John. They just call him
yeah,
John.
they just call him Jack. Yeah, no,
Yes.
I get that. But
It's like John JFK. Right. Oh yeah. I could totally. Charles Brennan was his alias.
and could you imagine what that would do to Valentine? Does
Oh,
maybe Valentine knows? Maybe, and he's just keeping up the you know,
yep.
that would be another great twist in that,
Hmm.
know, um
And then
that story.
Jocelyn having, or Uncle Jerry's all
Yeah.
protective of Jocelyn. It could be great.
Oh, absolutely.
Although
Um,
I have also decided I would love Jack Brennan to, because I want Jason to be Dex's father,
yeah.
but I would also accept Jack Brennan as Dex's father.
I think that would work out better almost. The fact now, of course, you're going to set up conflict. Dex being a cop and Brennan being the
Yep.
disgraced former leader of the WSB and
Hmm.
the head of Pikeman. You know, who knows? Maybe, the fact that Brennan was so, obviously the head of Pikeman and
Hmm.
was Sonny's right hand man, maybe he knew and he's holding on to the secret, you know?
Yeah.
And oh yeah, there's definitely scenarios
Hmm.
there that would work out well um when it comes to Dex. Um
And then they semi-redeem Brennan so they can keep him around. And then, Joss and Dex together, and Brennan's, a pain in Jason's ass and flirting with Carly all the time. I'm so here for it.
oh yeah, oh absolutely. Well, I mean, who knows? Maybe the end game is Carly and Jagger because they've been, flirting at times.
Mhm.
We also saw Lois and Jagger catching up this week.
I was intrigued by Lois and Jagger quite a bit,
Yeah,
which I didn't see coming.
because based on the canon that I've heard, I didn't realize they had known each other.
Yeah, Lois is a little older than they are. She's a few years older than they are, but yeah, she did know them.
Okay.
And Lois and Brenda were best friends, and Brenda dated Jagger, and yeah,
Oh,
so it was a
okay.
whole, yeah.
I don't know. I try to block Brenda out. She's not my favorite character.
I can't stand Brenda. And when I write Brenda's name, I spell it Duh.
Well, that like I don't, and I know that she said she'll only come. Vanessa Marcel has said that she'll come back when it's time to bring Sonny off canvas, and time to write him out.
Hmm.
And I don't want to see her. I just don't. I
Oh,
cringe anytime I hear about possible rumors of her coming back.
oh
I
God, I want to see it. I want to see it for what it would mean Endgame was. You
I,
know how I feel on that one. No, no, no. I'm always like, Brenda, come get your man.
yeah.
Come get him.
Um. All right. So something that could have potentially been a confrontation ended up turning into um everybody not being on the same page when Finn and Chase start talking about Gregory staying home from the rehearsal dinner, at Coney Island. Um, and
Yep.
they're like, "Well, who are you going to break it to him?" Well, it's your wedding. You can break it to him. Well, you're closer,
Yeah.
it's like them going back and forth. And he's like, "Hey guys, I don't think
I
I'm going
was
to go to the
thinking, yeah.
you know now the big disagreement is whether there should be a home health nurse with him,
Right.
which okay, I understand he wants to have his freedom and he wants to have his independence, but you know I I
Yep.
also felt like Alexis when Finn goes to Alexis's and they talk about everything and he's like, all right, you've talked me down. I'm going to go talk to my dad. And she's like, no, you're going to a meeting like you said you were going to do. Talking to
No.
your dad can wait. And
Right.
this is something that I cannot relate to because
Hmm.
I've never been in AA or NA or
Hmm.
any of those, groups for addictions.
Hmm.
Like if I don't know, I guess okay, so something is going on at home, but you're not tempted to take any, you know, I don't know, maybe you are tempted or whatever, but not at not one point did Finn say to Alexis, "Oh, well, I'm thinking about taking a pill or whatever."
That's what he said when he said, I need a meeting. That's how they
Okay,
say it. My brother was in AA, and that's what it means.
okay,
I need a meeting means I feel like I'm gonna slip.
okay, all right.
I need a meeting. That's code for I want to take a drink or I want to
Gotcha,
take a pill, whatever the addiction is. That's what the code I need a meeting means that.
gotcha. Okay, well,
Yeah.
you learn something new every day.
Yeah.
All right. So they, Chase wants somebody to stay with him. Maybe Alexis will go. I think Alexis offered to stay with Gregory, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, she actually, yeah, she called Gregory and said that she needed his help
That's right.
because she
Yes.
was
Yes.
preparing for the thing the next day, yada, yada, yada. So, yeah.
Right.
So she's going to be hanging out with Gregory
Yeah. So that was
while
kind of,
that
you
happens.
know,
Yeah.
that was kind of swept under the rug and just finished off quickly. But we'll see what
Well, no,
happens.
because it's still that same night. Because today, Tracy and Gregory were talking about he was pushing her to go to the rehearsal dinner on Coney Island tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're still in the same day.
Oh, well, that's what I mean. But that
Yeah.
conflict kind of worked itself
Yes.
out. That's what I meant.
Yes. The
Uh,
conflict did. Yes.
all right. So, all right. I have to give a huge round of applause to Jordan this week.
Hmm.
Jordan put Laura in her place and said what every member of the audience, even the people on the social medias, were talking about. And Jordan said what was on everybody's mind, and that there's no redeeming Heather. Why are you pushing so hard? Do you want her to get out of prison? Because it's going to be one or the other. You're going to push to have her cases reopened, but what justice does that do for Rory's death, for Brando's death, for,
Right.
the attacks that for Britt's death? You know what I mean? What, um, what does that say to the family that the families of the victims, because, oh, well, this time, these past couple of years, she's had cobalt poisoning, but she was, and yes, a great heel will always justify what they've done.
Hmm.
Uh, and Heather is not necessarily justifying what she did, or she did. She actually did justify. She's like, I, wanted to hurt the people that hurt my
Hmm.
daughter, or I perceived to hurt my daughter. So she's justifying what she did. She's saying it's
Right.
wrong, and they're going this pseudo redemption route. But
Hmm.
Jordan told Laura, "Why are you pushing so hard for this?"
Right.
And I absolutely loved that conversation. And
Oh
I think
yeah,
it needed to happen. Jordan had to be that voice of reason.
absolutely. Somebody did need to say it, and it's good. It is, these are, the different conversations we need and the different sides we need to see, and I think we could see Jordan challenging Laura
Yeah,
for her
I
seat.
agree. I think so too.
I could see
Absolutely.
Jordan as the next mayor of Port Charles.
Which will be great. I think
Hmm.
the Jordan character, I'm glad they have somebody in there now like Tanisha Harper
Hmm.
who can do all these different things.
Yep.
Vanessa Antoine was great, and then Brianna, I think Brianna Lane. No, that's I can't remember who the second Jordan was.
Is it Brianna Lane? Is that her
That's
name?
what
I
I
can't.
thought, Brianna Lane, but I thought that was the one that played Brooklyn. Um, Brianna Henry. Brianna,
Okay.
yeah, I think that's what it was, Brianna. But either way, I think she was too young for the role. Um,
Yeah, it is Brianna Henry. Yes.
No, and I think she was too young for the role, especially in those scenes with TJ where she literally looked 2 years or
Yeah.
5 years older than TJ. Like, um, but I think with the current portrayer of Jordan, of course, my brain fart goes Tanisha Harper. Um, I think that she brings that perfect mix of maturity and
Hmm.
also versatility because
Hmm.
and she's believable. Like
Yes.
she's a believable threat. If that was the case, a believable
Hmm.
threat for Laura's seat as mayor.
Yeah. Speaking of the politics on the show, I was also thinking I could see Drew
Yes,
running for
Senate.
that
Senator.
senator seat.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, him and Nina would make a great political power couple,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yep. Absolutely.
The weird, Jackie and JFK kind of, not the fairy tale, obviously, but the political power couple of it all.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be great. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um. Wow. All right. That does bring stuff.
I've already dreamcast the senator's wife too,
Well,
Kim Zimmer.
yeah. They did say that she was coming in, so that
I don't know if that's true. I would love for it to be true, but I haven't heard it from a reliable place yet, but I would love it. And I think she'd be great as the senator's wife, Kim
yeah.
Zimmer.
Oh, that would be great. And it would be good to see her back on TV, back on
Yeah.
her television set.
And her, Laura Wright, and Cynthia Watros together again. Oh,
They were all on another
Guiding Light. Yeah.
Guiding Light. Okay.
Guiding Light. Yeah. Laura Wright played her sister,
Okay.
and Cynthia Watros played her psychotic romantic rival for a while.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cynthia Watros was. That's what makes me laugh about people who were like, oh, she must hate playing this. Her character on Guiding Light had a miscarriage, carried the dead baby for months until she could, and pretended to still be pregnant. Carried that baby for a few months until she could stage a fight in public at the top of stairs with Kim Zimmer's character and threw herself down the stairs so that she'd be blamed for the death of the baby.
Wow.
Yeah,
They do that on
this is nothing.
didn't they
What?
didn't they do I thought they did something similar to that on GH as well. Um
Well, I mean, Nell threw herself
that's
down the
right. No,
stairs on purpose, but she didn't, the baby was still alive and made it. And,
yeah.
here we have Wiley. But oh yeah, it was, and she loved that. Cynthia
Well,
Watro said she had a blast with that storyline.
here's the
Annie
thing.
Dutton and that was the beginning of her crazy.
And here's the thing is that the actors on the show are
Hmm.
excited to get their scripts. I was listening to Daily Drama with Stephen Bradford this week, and they had or this last episode with Kirsten Storms,
Hmm.
and she made it a point to say she's never been so excited to get her
Yeah.
script. There, Maurice Bernard posted saying that he's enjoying the character he's playing now because he's never done it before.
I went to the Ladies of GH events. We went to the private luncheon and to the Q&A afterwards. And I mean, I was talking to Finola Hughes at the private luncheon, and she said that everybody is so excited behind the scenes. They're all excited to see what their next script is going to be. And there's an energy like they haven't had in decades. And Laura Wright said the same thing.
Yeah,
She's like, it's just so much fun again.
yeah,
And this soapy stuff is what they want to play. They
exactly.
want the drama. They want the, hat fights and all of the, they don't want to sit around and cry on some guy's couch. They want the meaty
Yeah,
back and forths and stuff. That is,
I,
what they
I,
want for their characters.
I am anxious to see Ava's next move.
Mm,
I am
yeah.
more of an Ava fan now than I've ever been. And I want to see what she's going to do now that she's being cast aside by Sunny after she thought because the power for her, because all she's at this point in time right now, she wants that power, that
Mhm.
control. And she
Yep.
thought she had it because she was the only person that Sonny trusted, and now that he kind of pushed her aside to take Natalia to the wedding,
Yeah.
now hell hath no fury
Oh,
like
I know.
born. And now Sonny has alienated himself from somebody else.
But at the same time, she had said that she'd move out, but he was all like, no, 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 no. He doesn't want her to move out.
Right.
So he's just
Well, he did say that he would buy her a house or buy her a
right. But
apartment.
then when he came home and he was like, oh, I'm surprised you're still here. And then she was like talking. She's like, well, I should probably move out. And then he was like, I didn't say you had to move out. I didn't tell you had to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I like having Avery here. And she's like, well, what about me? And he's like, it's nice to have people around. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, he has no idea what's coming for him.
Yeah.
And Natalia better watch her back too.
Yeah. Oh, I
Because
yeah.
the ghost of Tawny
Yeah.
has some stories to tell.
And
Yeah.
I didn't put two and two together when they said, "Oh, do you know how disrespectful it would be if Ava went to the wedding?" And
Hmm.
I I totally forgot it was Ava that killed Connie.
But what cracks me up is that it's just as disrespectful for Sonny to be there. Because he killed AJ
Yeah.
with Ava's help. But it's literally just as disrespectful for
Yeah.
him to be there.
But
But
Brooklyn is still close to Sunny, regardless of the
yeah,
fact, you know.
right.
And so it's like I know that Ned and Sunny have their differences,
Right.
and here's the thing. For the longest time, and there's always been that unhealthy that cordialness whenever Sunny is in a scene with somebody who is kind of an upstanding citizen. Never to say a Quartermain is truly upstanding, but for somebody like Ned who is more of a
Mhm.
business tycoon than a mobster
Right.
or something, where he does have his shades of gray and stuff, but he's
Mhm.
more of an upstanding citizen. Um, so he's got that, he and Sonny could be cordial to each other.
Mhm.
I never understood, for somebody who was an alleged mob boss, and the whole town knows about it, how so many people can be cordial, and kind of see through
Yeah.
manipulation.
Well, it was that whole writing him as,
Yeah,
the mobster with a heart of gold.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And anytime somebody would come in to challenge his territory, whether it was
Mhm.
Scully, whether it was,
Mhm.
Cyrus, whether it was the
Alcazar,
Alcazar or the
Manor Reeve.
Balkan,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like
They
he
were
was
always the
always
bad guys.
right. He was always the baby face, and everybody
Right.
rallied around him. So
Right.
it's like it's a mob rivalry. Why isn't the PCPD or the FBI getting involved to take them both out?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
granted that you take Sunny out, and that would end up, taking a character off the show early, but it's still like,
Right.
you know, but
Right. But this is what, Patrick doesn't like. He doesn't like, you
which
know,
makes total sense.
yeah,
Um, yeah, no, that
exactly.
makes total sense.
Yep.
Uh boy, all right. I think let me see if we've gone over everything. Um, Dex and Josh kind of had a flirty competition while running.
Which
Um,
I loved.
I
Loved,
thought it was
loved. I thought it was adorable.
I thought, all right, so this is going to be, for those of you who are wrestling fans, this is going to be a lights out segment. Um, you know, the lights out matches, the unsanctioned matches, Suds unsanctioned is what I'm going to call it. Instead of doing the thankful minute this week, we're going to do a little bit of unsanctioned, the lights out edition of the podcast. Um, in that being and we were talking about this briefly before we started, in that
Mhm.
the quote unquote Sprina Nation, and they are still completely obsessed with the pairing of Sprina. We're not going to see them back. And here's the thing, and let me ask you, the character of Trina. James Lott
Mhm.
Jr. put out an entire episode of this last year, or the year before, to the
Mhm.
point where Trina was never supposed to be this type of character. She was supposed to be the best friend. She was supposed
Yes,
to, you know,
she was. And that, those characters can evolve, but Trina, even now, is not, it's hard because with a soap, there are traditionally supposed to be leads.
right.
But General Hospital started breaking that mold long, 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 decades ago.
Yeah.
Whereas, Carly's the female lead, Sunny, Jason, the male leads, and then the rotate of whoever else,
Yeah. Right.
Sunny or Jason are with. Um, and then in the younger set, they kind of made Joss the female lead, and then they haven't really had a solid real male lead.
Right.
Um, but it's her love interest. Cameron had it more, and then Dex had it more, and Trina was more of a um
Character.
character. She was brought on as Joss's friend. She was
Yeah.
given her own storylines and stuff like that, and absolutely, and her own romances, and she's getting a new love interest.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be Spencer.
Do
They're
you
not
think this?
recasting Spencer right now, and that's just how it goes. They'll build her love interest, and it'll be, a story, but it'll be a story that involves Joss, involves the other, the younger, will
Yeah.
all be more involved in it. It's going to be more of an ensemble kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, and they'll have their own stuff, and they'll have their stuff together, and they'll have family stuff and stuff like that. But I don't know, how much, front burner attention it'll get. I think we'll see the younger set a lot over the summer,
Yeah.
and then we'll probably, they're getting up there a little more in age. So, and
Yeah.
they have to build that up. So we might see them more, but it's just,
Do you think the pairing that do you think that because of the popularity and rabidness of the Sprina couple, do you think that it sets too big of an expectation for Trina's next love interest, in
no.
that people are going to hate it regardless?
Here's the thing. There are going to be fans that hate it regardless because it's not Spencer.
Right.
But there are a lot of people that didn't. I am a huge Trina fan. I hated Sprina because he wasn't worthy of her ever.
I
Maybe
didn't
for a few
like
months
the
before,
pairing either.
that moment he went overboard, but he was always a F boy. I
Yeah.
won't say that word on your podcast, but that was always who he was to
Yep.
me. And that hasn't changed. Trina deserves better. Esme deserved better than that man. He was just comprised entirely of red flags, period.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I'm not going to say Sprina weren't popular. They absolutely were.
Yep.
They were not a take the world, soap world by storm popularity. Yes, they had that really great kiss and leap and run. That scene was amazing. And Peter Reckles saw it and said that it was great. Absolutely. He was commenting on a scene.
Yeah.
It was great soap. He wasn't commenting on the whole storyline. He wasn't giving them super couple status. It wasn't, and he saw the scene.
Right.
I don't think, I don't think Sprina were any more popular than Jex were. I don't think Jex were more popular than Sprina. I think they're both popular pairings that had equal fan bases. Loud doesn't equal more.
Right.
It just doesn't. And behind the scenes, we know more. They know more than we do.
Right.
They see metrics more than we do, and a lot of things go into those metrics.
Yes.
The fact of the matter is, Nicholas Alexander Chavez is not coming back.
Right.
The show could have made him tack this whole 6 months or whatever it's been
Right.
onto his contract. They could have made him do that.
Right. Yeah.
Didn't. He cleaned out his dressing room when he left in December. They knew he wasn't coming back. He knew he wasn't coming back. And that's when he started scrubbing his social medias of the Sprina banners and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
He's moved on. It's not an insult to him. It's not an insult to the show. He has moved on. Period. He's not coming back.
Yep. And that's
It's
what
sad.
it boils down to, is that
And
he's not.
right. And then they were given the choice about, so do we recast Spencer or do we bring on someone new? I have heard that they were thinking about recasting Spencer, got as far as screen tests, and then switched directions.
Yep.
I don't know if that was because of the new writers. I don't know, because I heard the screen test took place in February, which meant they would have tried starting to recast in January. So that would have been under the old writers. We don't know. But we do know they've decided not to recast Spencer right now, and they are bringing a new love interest in for her.
Right. And we do have actual two new characters coming in. We have
Mm-hmm.
Blaze's brother, which is
Yep.
another controversial thing because people don't want to see Blaze's family grow. But we have Blaze's brother coming in. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and then we also have Brooklyn
Geo,
Geo.
who we know is still there
Yeah.
because he was in pictures on set the other day. He is still there. I think he is Trina's new love interest. Blaze's brother is going to be older because he's her older brother.
Right.
But this is good too. We need more people in that 30s set.
Yeah.
We do. So that's going to be interesting. And he's a musician, so he could be mixing it up with BLQ. There could be, we need, they need to bring in some teen girls if they're going to start showing the teen boys.
Yep.
We need teen girls, and we need, just more early mid-20s kids.
Yeah.
They have to start building those up, and we needed more of a 30s set as well, or
Yep.
start mixing them up because they're all like severely paired off.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think we're going to see a lot of things like that, and it's things the show needs. It's just the facts. They just need it.
Yeah. No, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
But yeah,
I did get a message from Christy. She said that she's obviously not going to be able to make it in. But she did say, make sure to mention that she's very happy that Chaylin did the deed in the interrogation room. Um,
yes, they did, which is adorable and totally on, you know, target for an engaged couple on the verge
but
of their wedding, looking for a moment away from all of the brouhaha.
yes. But either way. All right. So that was our lights out segment about the Sprina fan base and how, you know, the fact is that Nicholas Alexander Chavez is not coming back. His star is rising, his star is shooting up to the top, and I wouldn't doubt to see him in more mainstream shows after this Netflix monster series comes out. I would venture to say that he's destined for Marvel. Um, Speaking of which, Cody is actually going to be in a Marvel movie.
Mhm,
He's not going to miss any time. Josh Kelly, based on the shooting schedule, he missed maybe a
mhm,
week on each end, but the majority of the shooting happened during their dark time.
mhm,
But Josh Kelly is going to be in a Marvel movie upcoming. Great for him. I've always been a huge Josh Kelly fan, even from the time he was on One Life to Live. Um,
mhm.
but all right, so Angela, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Anytime.
Kim and I will be back. We'll be here tomorrow, 10 p.m. for Dockside at the Bay, right here on this very YouTube channel. Again, for those of you who are watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell to get notified anything pops up for this YouTube channel. This coming Wednesday, maybe a Squared Circle News, but it would be by myself unless I do find somebody else to come on. But if not, definitely the next episode of Squared Circle News will be on the 29th with Flobo Boyce coming on with me. So anything else? Christy should be back next Monday, and we are out of time. So again, thank you, Angela. Go ahead, let everybody know where people can find you.
Brooklyn 74 on um Twitter. Um and pettyprattle.com. Spoilers, news, all that fun recaps, all that fun stuff. We also have our Petty Prattle podcast. It's like a tongue twister tonight. And we've been doing a lot of fun spaces. And yeah, we're out there, me and Tony. We're
I
there
was
for you, man.
I was in my very first space a couple weeks ago, which was actually it's actually pretty cool. And the thing is, like, it's so interactive. You know,
Mhm.
it's not just a podcast that you're listening to.
Right.
Anybody can become a contributor and talk and whatever. So definitely check out those Twix spaces because they're
Yeah.
actually fun. But all right, so for Angela, I'm Vinny. We will be back. Well, I will be back with Christy next week. Kim and I will be here, dockside at the bay tomorrow, right here at 10 p.m. Eastern. Have a great week, everybody, and don't hate. If you don't like something, you don't have to stop watching the show. But the thing is, as long as the writers are making you feel something towards the characters, remember, not the actors, but the characters, they're
Yes.
doing the job. So have a great day. Have a